Hi, and welcome to All Things Cozy with Matt.
And Gillian.
We are a bi weekly podcast about everything that is warm, soft, and comforting. The holiday season is upon us, bringing with it a flurry of family gatherings. But instead of trying to coax more than one word answers from your niece, or dodging your nephews as they run through the house shouting 6-7, why not gather everyone around the table for a cozy game night? You'll make new memories, share some laughs, and maybe even avoid another long conversation about the deck your brother-in-law is building. Today we're talking about cozy card and board games, new and old, that are perfect for bringing friends and family together. Before we open up the boxes, shuffle the cards, and review the rules, let's review what coziness we've been up to the last couple of weeks during this week's Tea Time. Gillian, what are you sipping this week, and what's new in the Walters world?
Well, you hit very close to home when you said the piece about a brother-in-law building a deck. My brother-in-law works in construction on the side, and he has been building a coffee nook for probably the past 3 years. It's like become a bit at this point. I'm always hearing about the coffee nook. So this year, though, I will not be going to New York, and I finally hammered that down today. So I feel like the weight has been lifted off of my shoulders because I was so anxious about telling my mom I wasn't going. It's been 5 years since I have last stayed in LA for Christmas. If you've ever listened to our holiday episodes, I probably referenced my mom at some point. She loves the holidays, and she's been laying it on thick. I have some text messages to read, and don't worry, she doesn't listen to the podcast, so she won't be hearing them. That's what she gets. She said, "Have you booked your Christmas flights yet? Remember, mom isn't getting any younger, so you want as many Christmases as you can get."
Aww.
I have a really yummy Christmas Eve dinner planned by the fire, and you can even sleep with Little Santa. Little Santa, if you joined our book club, you probably met him. He's just this literally Little Santa from the 60s, and he looks it.
Not a person, but like a decoration.
Yes, that Little Santa.
Theoretically, there could be a little Santa from the 60s. Maybe it's a family friend. I'm glad to hear that it's
Yeah,
decoration.
it's decoration.
Yeah.
And then she goes, "Oh, and double bowls of lobster bisque." And then I didn't
I'm
respond
going to
because
take your place. This sounds incredible. You might be fine disappointing your mother on Christmas. It's okay. She only gave you life.
I'll buy you a plane ticket because she is jonesing for someone to eat this bisque and sleep with Little Santa. So I didn't respond. A whole day goes by because my anxiety is going through the roof and I'm just shutting down. And then she goes, "Oh, and Bailey's, and there'll be plenty of Bailey's and Baskin Robin peanut butter and chocolate and the cozy nights by the fire watching murder, kissy face." So
How can you resist, Gillian?
I know, but here's the thing. I was really envisioning a cozy LA Christmas, waking up with my kittens, Canella, the big cats, Jay, and just not seeing anyone and staying home and making our own food or catering it for ourselves. I don't know. I've also never made tamales with Jay's family, and they do that on Christmas Eve, and I really want to learn how to do that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I really want to do that. And just not schlep over to the East Coast, fly over, get on the train. My dad doesn't live in the city anymore, so I don't even have a landing spot where I can rest the night before. I just want to do what I want to do. So sometimes it's cozy to set boundaries, and I did tell her today, and she accepted it. She said, "I get it." She said, "But 2026, you're coming here." I said, "Okay."
Fair enough. You've on this one, Gillian.
I think I have. I really have. So it's off my plate. But what also is taking my anxiety down and drowning my sorrows of not being able to sleep with Little Santa. I've been drinking a pumpkin chai drink bomb, which has little mini marshmallows and spice mix from Favorite Day. It was at Target in the discount section. I was like M&M on 8 Mile trying to get this is my only shot, my last chance. I got to get all of these fall and Halloween items before they're no longer. So maybe it's in a discount section at your Target. But anyway, it's super good. The pumpkin is the perfect amount of pumpkin. It's creamy. It's delicious. That chai is really coming through. It's so good. And I don't like sweet stuff. It's not too sweet. They recommend heating up 3/4 cup of milk, but I did more than that. So all of the spice and sweetness dispersed a little bit more. It is such a treat. And it's just so, so lovely. It's a great evening drink, a great morning drink. So I know they have Christmas versions too. So check out your Target Favorite Day and see if you can get your hands on these drink bombs.
They look really pretty.
Mm-hmm.
They look almost like ornaments.
They are very pretty, and it's fun to see them melt and fall apart in the steaming hot milk.
Just like your mom hearing the news that you're not coming home for Christmas.
Yep. No, she's gonna be crying into her Baskin Robbins, but I love her. I tease her.
Well, you gotta send her something extra special in your absence, I think.
I think so too. People are listening to this and like, who is this monster? But if you're getting all of these
All things
texts,
cozy, disappointing your mom. Very
yeah,
cozy, apparently.
she's the one who should be getting the eyebrow raises because these are very manipulative texts. But anyway.
You kind of buried the lead there, though, Gillian, because you snuck in a detail that you haven't officially announced, which is that you have two more cats in your life, not just your old buddies, Reese's and Snickers. You have a couple other guests. Is it okay to announce it now? Can we go public with that?
Okay, once this episode drops, I'll also share photos and videos and stuff. But yes, I have adopted two cats with my partner. We rescued these kittens. They're tabbies. They're so cute. Matt's met them. And their names are Binks and Skittles. One's a boy. Binks is a boy. Skittles is a girl because she's skittish. There you go.
I love the swerve on your cats being named Snickers, Reese's, Skittles, and Binks.
It's like I am Joni. I am Todd. Like that song where
Oh, from SNL with Kristen Wiig, where she goes, "And I'm Dunice."
yes.
Yeah.
Like that's Binks.
Binks is Dunice for sure.
Yeah. They're awesome. They're so cute. They're definitely a handful. You're giving me a run for my money. Literally, I'm chasing them around. They just have so much pep. It's like I get a whole nother lifetime with the cats because we didn't get that opportunity to have the big cats running around as much because we were on the second floor of the apartment. So it was a lot of trying to shush them or control them. And we don't have that here in the house. So it's been so fun to be able to just let them run and play with them. And it's another shot. But the big cats are getting adjusted, but I think they'll get there. Yeah, we love them.
Well, that is a full house, so even more reason to stay home for the holidays because you have a lot of kitties to take care of.
I think so, yeah. I'm a new mom, so I have my kids too. What are you sipping over at your house?
I am sipping this tea today, which is called the Maple Espresso Black Tea by Trader Joe's. And I got it because of the espresso aspect of it. And I was excited to see how that would turn out. And it has such a strong scent. It's so espresso forward. It reminds me of when we've reviewed espresso candles on this show. It has that kind of almost fake espresso scent. But hey, it's given me a bit of a kick. And this feels like tea for people who don't like tea. Tea, but make it taste like coffee.
I love that.
Yeah, it's like watery espresso. I like it. And you do get a bit of the maple sweetness, but the espresso is definitely dominant.
Who's ever doing the art direction for the teas on Trader Joe's website deserves a raise. It's very cozy.
Yes, 100%. And what I'm thinking about in terms of what's making me feel cozy lately or in my life is utopian scholastic atmospheric music. And you're probably listening and thinking, what is he talking about? I enjoy listening to ambient sounds or like just lo-fi, anything in the background that I can work to. And I go through different phases. Oftentimes it was video game music. I love music from the Super Nintendo era, like Donkey Kong Country. And then via old people TikTok, aka Instagram Reels, I stumbled across this utopian scholastic aesthetic, which is recognizable if you went to school anywhere between the late 1980s to the early 2000s. Think of eyewitness books, the theme song from Reading Rainbow, museums in the 90s. If you ever played the PC game Myst, the Imaginarium toy store, Dinotopia, the art for the Encarta Encyclopedia disc that came with your HP Pavilion desktop computer. That kind of aesthetic where it's this mix of past and present, where you have like maybe classical architecture, but everything's floating and it's photos from all over the world against a blue sky, or it's a pavilion where there's plants hanging and there's portraits. And it was the kind of aesthetic at that time of like, learning is fun. And I forgot about that until it was reintroduced to me. And more importantly, all the music that came with those educational entertainment, things that you'd be watching at school where your teacher would wheel out the cart with the TV on it and pop it in the VCR, those types of videos. This mix that I'm linking into our show notes or the show description, if you want to click on it yourself, has a long sequence and playlist of the music from that era and that type of stuff. And it makes me feel so relaxed. I reconnect with my childhood. I really miss what I thought the world was like at this time because I was naive and a child and really buying into this aesthetic. It almost proposes this idea of an end of history where we can know everything there is to know, and we're perfected as human beings, and we're so close to a peaceful global society, which is laughable to think of now, but seemed at our fingertips at the time, if you can believe it, or at least it did for children who were put in front of this material. But more than anything, it just makes you feel like learning is fun, and I can't wait to read my encyclopedia. I'm really digging right now utopian scholastic aesthetic.
Yeah, this brings back a lot of memories. I don't remember the music at all, so I'm excited to check that out after we're done recording. But I absolutely remember the books, and the Crystal and Gem is screaming out to me. I want these books in my home. They actually would really make great coffee table books. Maybe there could be an adult version of these, or just as they are, and everyone can just go back in time and relax and just look at all the photos and pictures and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just a great aesthetic for signifying this concept of exploration and curiosity. This was the beginning of digital art and really cheap stock images. So there's a lot of stuff coming at you in this aesthetic, and it's all telling you that you can know everything there is to know, and the world's a small place, and you can go anywhere, you can learn anything. It's very empowering, if a bit naive in retrospect. More than anything, a way to sum this aesthetic up is like art on PC game boxes around the mid to late 90s is what this looked like.
Yeah, it's just so simple and clean, but yet there's so much to explore to your point and look at and enjoy and lose yourself in the imagination of it. But you're also right too, the computer games, everything was so crowded. The roller coaster tycoon,
Yeah.
all of that is really packed. But yeah, I can't wait to check out this music. I haven't come by it on Instagram 90s nostalgia, and I'm deep into that hole, so I gotta dig deeper.
In investigating this aesthetic, I stumbled upon the aesthetics fandom wiki. And
Oh.
what I love about this site is that it'll pick out an aesthetic, it'll define it, it'll give you examples like scholastic utopia, and then you can find related aesthetics. And my favorite feature is then you can also find like preceded by and succeeded by. So you can kind of see the progression of the way that design trends and movements took place. Like it's a great resource for looking into like how things evolved in terms of graphic design. Jillian, let's clear the tea off our table to make room for our cozy board and card games. Game night is about to begin. For as long as people have gathered around tables, we've found ways to turn cards, dice, and boards into little worlds of connection. From the ancient tiles of Senate and the royal strategies of chess, to the family classics stacked in your childhood closet, games have always offered a cozy escape into play and togetherness. Today, board games are more intricate and imaginative than ever, sprawling adventures, clever collaborations, and storytelling experiences that can last an entire evening. But at their heart, they still bring us back to the same simple joy sitting close, sharing laughs, and maybe getting just a little competitive. Before we deal you in to the cozy games we tested with our friends, let's go back to that childhood closet. Jillian, what multiplayer card or board games were your favorite as a child?
Well, as I was compiling these games, I found a theme. Some of my favorite games, The Game of Life, Old Maid, and then I put in one of my honorable mentions, Don't Wake Daddy. And so, what's the common thread between all of these games? It's like living on the edge, living in fear. With Old Maid, obviously, you don't wanna get the Old Maid, and that's the thrill and fun of it, like, "Am I gonna get the Old Maid?" But it's now looking back on it's pretty offensive, actually. We should be worshiping that Old Maid. I'd be happy to get that Old Maid
I
today.
always was. I never didn't.
And then Don't Wake Daddy, if you're familiar, it's this board game. There's a dad sleeping in the middle. You have to press his alarm clock. I forgot what triggers the alarm clock for you to press it. Maybe it's a card that tells you to press it a few times, or I don't even know. Or you land on a space that makes you, I say tempt daddy, but
Definitely not that. It's like hot potato. You have to like hit his alarm clock a certain number of times, and whoever hits his alarm clock and then daddy wakes up loses.
right. And he'll spring up, and it's terrifying when he springs up. Your heart's beating, and you don't know when he's just gonna leap up with his little old school tiny sleeping hat, and it's just terrifying. But I love the thrill of it. And then with the game of life, that was thrilling too. I won more in that game than I am in the actual real life. But it was exciting to fill up your tiny car, and then you put a peg person in it, a plastic peg person, and you drive around and you pick up kids along the way, maybe a spouse, and then you land on certain pieces that tell you like different life events. And It's fun, like, "Oh, your friend's gonna sue you. You have to lose $5,000." That's thrilling, you could go bankrupt at any moment, or you could get divorced, you don't know what's gonna happen. So, as a little kid, it was fun to go through the story, but winning of it is a little bit icky today because whoever had the most money at the end won.
There are so many messages in these games that as adults you look back on and what's being communicated to kids with "Don't wake daddy" exactly. Why are we afraid of waking daddy in the first place? But also the game of life for sure. Like you win life if you have money and you lose life if you don't have money. On the plus side, the game of life did teach people about the costs and benefits of family planning. It plays differently. If you have a small family with not a lot of kids, then you can do certain things that you can't do if you have a big family in the game. So there are trade-offs. At least it imparts like some of that reality in a gamified way to young people. But yeah, the way you win isn't great.
Yeah, I guess I was a really problematic child. All my games were really problematic.
We didn't know at the time. Even Pretty Princess, let's get into that.
Oh, yo, yeah, okay, Pretty Princess. I was a freak for Pretty Princess, which is funny because that's not really how it ended up, but I
What
love
do you mean,
dress
Jillian? You're
up.
wearing a plastic tiara right now. How do you win Pretty Princess? Do you just get the tiara? Like who wins?
Hey, it's not that simple, Matt. It's a complex process. You have multiple pieces of jewelry that you're trying to wear. So by the end of it, you should be wearing your tiara, your necklace, some bracelets, and then you don't want the black ring. If you get the black ring, then you can't win. Your goal is to get rid of the black ring. But yeah, by the end, you look like a princess. You have the clip on earrings, and it's just fun. There's different colors, so you get to choose your color. That was thrilling. I could play that game all day long when I was little. And then my best friend was a boy, and so he'd be playing it with me. And yeah, I remember his dad's face when he walked in, like, and Christopher had all of the Pretty Princess stuff on. But he was a good sport. I love that game. But yeah, I guess it's problematic in the sense of you get all your jewels and you win. Or it's like money oriented I was. But really the what I loved about life and all of those games, it kind of has a narrative in it, you know?
Yeah.
You're going around the board, not waking daddy up, or
There's some drama that does fit into your personality. There's some
yes,
stakes
there's
there.
some
Yeah.
drama, there's stakes, it's a story, especially the game of life. And that old maid, I create a narrative about her and what her life's going on and why people wanna pass her around and not have her in their deck of cards, I don't know. But I think there should be a revival of Old Maid. She gets her due second time around. Anyway, I'm curious to see if your games have a problematic edge or reveal anything about your personality that rings true today.
Well, as you were drawing some of those through lines, it made me think about my games all having a strategic bent to it. And when I think back to my childhood, I remember from a very early age absolutely adoring the game Stratego, where it's a battlefield and you have these pieces that are only you can see what your pieces are, and then your opponent gets to set their field, and you can set mines. And basically, like you go in blind, where like you move your piece into another piece, and then you turn them around to see like who has a higher ranking unit, and whoever has the higher ranking unit wins the battle. Or you might have hit a mine, and then you lose that piece regardless of how powerful or weak it was. And you're trying to basically capture the flag on a board game. Have you played Stratego, Julian?
No, but as you're describing it to me, it sounds complex thinking, the ability to understand multiple complex directions, strategizing. It sounds like Battleship.
It is a lot like Battleship insofar as like both players are blind to each other's map. You're trying to outlast the other person. And then you're
Hmm.
also thinking strategically about like how are you guarding your flag? So for example, you could put your flag around a bunch of mines, but then once your opponent hits a couple mines in a row, they're like, "Oh, they made a little square around it. I know exactly where to go now." So sometimes being that obvious about your defense isn't very good because
Mm.
then your opponent will stop wasting their resources in other parts of the board and they'll just go fully toward where your flag is. So I love the strategy of that. On a similar note, I was obsessed with the art of Labyrinth, which is like you're hunting for treasure in a maze, but like as you play, your tiles push other tiles out of the way and it will create paths and then also block paths. You're trying to block other people and then trying to find your way through to the treasure, but the map is always changing and it has these like a little wizard icon or a sorceress. It was very fantasy based. I love fantasy and I love all those things, and I just love the fact that, like, you get to customize your map and it's ever changing and no 2 games are the same.
I love the cover of it too, of the board game. There's a
Yeah.
bat, a ghost, a princess. That's really cool, an owl.
I also used to play Don't Break the Ice quite a bit. My version, I feel like, had penguins, but, like, you put them, like, on the ice, basically, like, blocks of plastic all tightly packed together into one flat level, and then you have a little plastic mallet, and it's almost like horizontal Jenga because you're trying to, like, punch out the ice blocks without the whole thing coming down, and whoever breaks the ice loses.
It's a game that looks really fun. It's very visually exciting.
It's very
It's
simple for kids
yeah.
too. As a little kid, I thought that was great. I love all the classics. I love Sorry. What was the one where you like
Oh, I love that game too, where the dice you press that bubble in the middle and the dice what
Trouble?
was it? Trouble. I was a freak for Trouble.
Yeah, I loved playing Trouble too, just because of the dice being in a bubble.
Yeah, that was see, it's so simple. Tactile stuff.
As a kid, like, I really definitely leaned towards board games, and even into my high school years, my friends and I, we went through a major Risk phase, which it really is like a beefed up Stratego in some ways, but, like, much more complicated, where you're trying to claim territories, and it was kind of, like, funny to control Australia.
Is it like Dungeons& and Dragons where the game can last for a really long
It
time?
can last for a long time, but it's not like Dungeons& and Dragons where, like, you really are free to go anywhere with the story and be anything. You're not customizing your character or anything. You're really just moving troops around the board.
Mm.
It comes down to math, building up enough troops, holding down territories long enough to amass more troops that you can then invade other parts of the world. So while your games might be problematic from, like, a gender perspective or from an economic perspective, mine are problematic from a geopolitical perspective,
Control.
promoting warfare, dominance.
But this has been so enlightening and cool because truly what our interests as children, they translate into today. So I would love for listeners to share in our Facebook group what their favorite childhood games were and let's dissect our problematic psyche.
I mean, these are parts of our human nature that we are
Yes, human
cutting
nature is a better
cutting our
way to say
teeth
it, not
on
problematic.
with pretend and play. And it's a much healthier place to work these things out than in real life. So it's probably a good thing that we had these games.
You always put a great cap on things, and that's a very great way to say it. And we also had a lot of fun going down memory lanes. As I was compiling these games, it brought back so many great memories of just playing with my friends and yeah, not even watching TV, not to go all boomer like get those kids out from the boob tube. But yeah, it was fun. We actually play those board games, and I wish I did it more. But
We don't stop playing the games even though we're not kids anymore. There are games that we played recently. Before we go into our recommendations for some super cozy games that you can play with your friends and family for a fun game night, is there anything in your recent experience that you played and you're like, that was actually a pretty cool game that isn't necessarily your rec, but you want to give a little shout out now?
I don't want to make anyone groan and moan, but I chose Uno. It might be controversial.
Who's grown and moaning at Uno?
For whatever reason, Uno completely slipped me by. I was never playing Uno. I think maybe I played once or twice in my life. And then my niece came over and she brought some face masks and all her cute little 11-year-old goodies. And that was Uno. And she loves Uno and she wanted to play Uno. And now I'm addicted to Uno. I try and trick my partner to playing all the time. She was stressed the other night and I said, you know what would really calm you down, really center you? What if we just did something a little tactile and played some Uno? I don't know why. I love Uno, and I think we're probably playing wrong with some rules and because we're getting schooled by my niece all night long when we played, but it's so simple. You can't really go wrong with it. It's not that difficult to understand. It's exciting when you get to match your color or number. Anyone can play.
It is very accessible for all ages, for sure.
I think it's fun to catch someone when they don't say Uno. Jay always forgets, my partner, because she's so methodical and so smart, but she's very thoughtful. And so sometimes she just ruminates a bit too much. So I'm always getting her on the Uno, and that's super exciting. But she's always getting me more on the strategy. And, not just like, oh, I got a blue, put it down. And said she actually looks at the cards. It's fun. I like it. But if you're looking for something a little bit different and more modern and unique, and that's something that's fun and can bring back some childlike vibes into your life, I recommend A Game of Cat and Mouth by Exploding Kittens. I got this for my nephew when he visited, but he's only 3, so I think it was a little bit difficult for him to master. The concept's super simple. It's a 2-player game where you flick tiny balls through a cat's mouth using magnetic paws. And the game itself is really cool. It's very portable. You open it up, it's like a almost like a little briefcase, and you have a big white cat's head in the middle, and it has an open mouth where you flick the balls through. The cat, for whatever reason, has a rainbow dripping out of his mouth on both sides, so it's very visually appealing, and then the rainbow sits on top of a Starry Night background, so it's just really cool to look at, and you can wow people when you open up your briefcase of a game of cat and mouse. The game's super simple. You just try and flick your balls through the cat's mouth, but then in the middle of the cat's face there's a black ball.
Gillian, this game is for kids, right?
I was like trying to write the rules up. It just looked not right. And then this is the kind of episode that really makes you struggle because recounting rules, explaining things. You got a cardboard briefcase. There's a cat's mouth. You flick some balls. Anyway, it's like pinball. So you pull back your magnetic paw and then you try and shoot the ball through the cat's mouth. The cat's face has a black ball as the nose. And if you hit the black ball and get it to the other side of your opponent, that's an automatic win. And then also if you shoot the white balls through the cat's eyes. Okay, it's fun. It brings back childlike memories. We had a lot of fun playing it. We finally opened it up and tried it again after the failure with my nephew. And we had a ball of a time, no pun intended, but it's really not about your ability to properly shoot. It can just be luck sometimes. That can be frustrating to people if you're really like, oh, I'm all about the strategy, I'm all about the skill. This maybe is not your game, but I mean, is a game of cat and mouse, so how much can you be expecting from it? It got a lot of great reviews and it's just fun and cool to look at. So I think, hey, get some laughs with your family members, take the seriousness out of it, and take your magnetic paws and shoot some balls through some cat mouse and call it.
Yeah, it seems really simple. It reminds me of like a lot of kids' games where it's really just tactile and you're just focused on a very simple objective. I'm looking at like the reviews and the game is done in like 2 minutes. So it's a really quick game to pick up with a kid. And you're right, there's so much randomness to it. And that's important too for a family game night because you want to make sure everyone has a chance to win, not just because they're older and have more life experience or they're younger and have more dexterity. Like it's a little random so everyone has a chance.
Yeah, and I like games that make you laugh.
Yeah.
This is that kind of one that would do that.
Absolutely. Well, on the topic of exploding kittens, the card game that I wanted to quickly shout out, just for something that I've been playing within the last several years that I love playing and go to all the time with friends and family, is Exploding Kittens itself. I'm sure many listeners are aware of this game already, but I really love this game because similar to Uno, where it's just a deck of cards, you pick up a game, it's really quick. It's just a very fast social game that involves a deceptive amount of strategy. The way you play Exploding Kittens is everyone starts the game with a diffuse card, which diffuses the exploding kitten. There's enough exploding kittens shuffled into a deck in the middle of the table that is one less than the amount of players. And basically, the last person standing wins. Because if you draw from the middle of the deck and you pull an exploding kitten and you don't have a diffuse card, you lose. You've exploded. You can get more diffuse cards in the deck. You can match pairs. There are shuffle cards. There are skip cards. There are make your opponent draw 2 cards. Because really, you don't want to be drawing from the deck because the more you draw from it, the more likely you are to pull an exploding kitten. It's really just a card game version of Hot Potato where you just don't want to pull the card. It's so simple. Anyone can play it. Anyone can pick it up. It's really simple to explain the rules and just go. And I find that in terms of a family game night, that's such an important aspect to the game that you choose. It needs to be something that like anyone can pick up and learn right there and then without a dissertation being written or read about how to play the game. So that's a game that I really love. And there are a lot of expansion packs and different versions of it now, but the classic Exploding Kittens is just a great call. And it was such a successful game that it did spin off all these different games from the same company, including yours. And I recognize that cat with the rainbow barf as the Rainbow Ralphing Cat, which is a card that you can play in Exploding Kittens. So
Oh, fun. That's really cute. I was like, oh, the rainbow's dripping from his mouth. And now he's a barfing rainbows. Yeah, I guess cat dominance with all these games.
yeah, it's going to continue to be a trend in this episode. So another game that I really love playing with family is Codenames. Again, pretty popular, but if you haven't played before, you're playing as 2 rival spy masters, and with your teammates, they only know the agents by their code names. You have all these different words on the table, like single word labels like disease or carrot, and you want to give your teammates the one word clue that will get them to turn over the correct tiles to reveal your spy. So if I'm team blue, I want to find other spies from my team. I don't want to reveal the opponent's team because that gives them points. If I reveal opponent's spy, then I just gave them a freebie. And so the spy master has to be very careful about the words they use. And it's even better if you can find a word that connects multiple concepts, because then if you can get more than one of your spies revealed in one turn, then you're closer to winning. And it's a really simple game that involves a lot of talking and strategy and arguing. Why'd you pick that word? Associations that you're like, what does that have to do with that word? It's a really fun game to play with family. Really simple to set up. Again, you're just putting on some tiles and going. Fun to play, very interactive. I really love code names.
That game seems like it involves a lot of drama and high stakes too.
It does, yeah.
You can really immerse yourself. How long does it last, you say?
Oh, 20 minutes.
Oh, 20 minutes.
Yeah. It's really simple. There's not a lot of setup. It's just like a few tiles in the middle of the table.
I like that. I'm gonna try that out.
So we wanted to go beyond just some of the ones we mentioned, which you probably have heard about at some point, or you've heard friends talking about, to maybe find a few that are like a new thing to add to your game night rotation if you do play games, or something that can spark a game night trend in your household. I want to make a note before we go into our cozy games that we're going to try next, is that we made an effort to choose games like we just discussed that are easy to pick up and play. I know many of us love to play Settlers of Catan. You're always making a nest with Wingspan. You're always trying to survive the betrayal at House on the Hill. But let's be real, when you bust those games out with casual friends and family, their eyes glaze over and people start strategizing how they can make their way to the exit. Those are games for people who love to play board games, and they love the strategy of it, and they're great games. But we deliberately chose games that maximize interaction and minimize rules learning and setup so that your family can get right into it and you can begin making those memories. So Gillian, what was that game for you? Like, I was going to boardgamegeek.com a lot to figure out like what's trending, what are the gamers playing now, like what's a good party game. What was your approach to finding a game that you think is a game that people might not know about but should try?
Yeah, I was looking on my game shelf, and by game shelf, I mean like a dusty section where I keep books. And most of my games are card games. I don't really have a lot of board games. And one of the card games on the shelf that I bought with my partner is called We're Not Really Strangers. And so I was trying to imagine that card game in the context of a family gathering. And when Matt came up with the idea for this episode, we're brainstorming, we're trying to think of what would work well in a holiday setting. So I was like, okay, maybe not We're Really Strangers, because if you've ever played, those are questions that dive really deep, and maybe questions that you would inspire you to 911 your therapist or something. Like, what was the one memory from childhood that haunts you to this day that keeps you up at night? Like that, those kinds of questions where I'm like, okay, this is a little much. And I was trying to find something a little bit more gentle that people could play, after a few glasses of wine or hot cocoa, and just get into some pleasant but fun conversation, especially if you're with relatives you don't really have a lot in common with. And I also saw recommendations in years past from our Facebook group, or just people commenting, like the hookah game, cozy conversation and pleasant company. So it's a conversational card game, which I think has really taken off in popularity in recent years. Those let's get people talking and learning new stuff about each other. But I was really curious about this game because we talk so much about hookah on the show. So I picked up at Barnes& and Noble, but they do have it on Amazon, or even at Target. I saw that they sell it there. And the rules are super simple. It says on the back of the box, there are no winners or losers in this game. The goal is simply to make it as hookah as possible. So especially in the holiday season, that's a great sentiment to live by. And I was particularly thinking about those problematic uncles you might have. It's really hard to go out of the rails here and take the conversation into a weird or offensive place.
This is not like Cards Against Humanity.
No, for example, some of the questions: what's your favorite holiday candy? Valentine's Day, Halloween? What is one consistent factor linking your friends? What city really exceeded your expectations the first time you visited it? And also, too, what's cool about this game is it gives you choice. The instructions on the back recommend that you pick up a card, and each card has 3 questions on it. And then you read aloud each question, and then the player next to you on your left answers it question by question. But I prefer it, and how I played it with my partner was I read out the questions and then they chose the one they wanted to answer. Because some of these card games, it really forces you to answer things that maybe you don't want to answer or you don't even have a good answer to.
Yeah.
So the fact that it gives you that choice, I think that makes it a little bit more hygge. But yeah, I mean, it's really self-explanatory in why it's cozy. They're soft, gentle questions, but they're also interesting and engaging. And I think we've been so hygge minded here that how can we not try this game? I just felt, okay, I really gotta pick this one up and give it a go. I liked it more than We're Not Really Strangers because it's more surface level and sometimes you just want to go to those intense places with people, especially like your wacky sister-in-law or something. You
Yeah.
just want to keep it light. This is a good one for
It
that.
makes it more inclusive too for all different members of your family.
Exactly. There's nothing that you have to be concerned about with these cards. It's all just
Your
really sweet
12-year-old
things.
cousin's not gonna be able to answer, like, "What's your biggest regret in life?" or whatever those questions can be
Exactly.
sometimes. Like, I was playing the strangers game you mentioned with some friends recently, and some of the questions were like, "Am I in therapy? Like, why am I explaining my answer to this? It doesn't feel even appropriate."
No, exactly. And so I wanted to test this one out just to see if the questions actually were legitimately not diving deep and confessing things to people. We're going to get raw here. It's really not like that. It's safe, but also questions that you would have fun answering. And I also want to test out how hookah minded it was. Sometimes it got a little bit too general for me, but there were other questions I thought that were very hookah, like, what do you think the benefit is of having a physical dictionary in your house? Which is like a weird question. It seems even boring on the surface, but I don't know, like those kind of questions.
Yeah, I love that, and, you can get some funny answers too, like, people could be saying a doorstop or yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can go to answer that question.
Yeah, there's many examples. There's nothing that's coming on top of mind, but
And you get to learn more about your family and friends, which is great.
yeah, I think it's a good one for cousins who you are not super close with, but light enough where you could play a conversational card game.
Yeah. I do wonder sometimes if it's awkward, like the conversation's dipping, and then you're like, what we should bust out is the cozy conversation game because
Right.
you're not talking. Let's do some prompts.
Yeah, these conversational card games for sure aren't for everyone. I think this would be a fun gift if you were having a hygge party. We should do more hygge parties, and you could bring this card game, or you have very cozy-minded friends, or maybe a book club kind of vibe. I feel like there's really appropriate settings for this kind of game.
Definitely.
Oh, and then honorable mention, I got this as a birthday gift from my friend, so it was a perfect timing for this. It's called Check Your Shelf, a literary trivia card game, but this is not conversational, it's trivia. I really like this one because it's so cute. The case of it mimics an actual book, so you can put it on your bookshelf. And I'll have to admit, this is one of the reasons why I mentioned it. It's just so cute looking. It has an adorable cover. It's the golden yellow, and then it has green bookshelves on it, and there's little books on it. It just fits so perfectly on a bookshelf, and it's just really cute. And then you could impress someone, maybe your book club friends, your literary-minded friends, some teachers maybe, professors, and you pull it out from your bookshelf, and then you open it up, and there's your trivia game. But to your point, Matt, of like, how do you introduce something like this? I don't know, maybe you have a bookworm party.
Yeah.
I was reading through some of the trivia questions earlier this week, and I'm like, okay, some of them are really obvious. Like, oh, what's Bridget Jones's based on or whatever. But there were other ones that were a little bit more specific. So I like that it has a range of, okay, some easy ones, and then it progressively gets harder. And there's different sections too. So the classics, for example. So if you're not into a specific genre, you can skip over to another genre and jump around. But I won't lie, I love the aesthetic of it. So it'd make a cute gift for a book lover, I think.
And these trivia games are nice to have around because you do find yourself sometimes reaching for them, like just as a way to mix up a friend hang, challenge yourselves a little bit. Like they do come up naturally. The contexts do come up where it is fun to just to whip out a few questions and see how you do.
Absolutely.
So, my recommendation is also a game that is highly conversational and card based, and it's called The Chameleon. And it came out in 2017, and it's a bluffing game. And I've heard that this game or something similar is actually making the rounds on social media, people playing it. So maybe it's out there in the zeitgeist, but I played it last year with family for the first time. And then I just recently bought my own to play with friends. And we did so just the other weekend. And we had a great time. and it's a lot of fun, and it's really simple. The way it plays is that you're the chameleon, meaning you get a card that says you are the chameleon on it when the cards are dealt. No one knows your identity except for you. Your mission is to blend in like a chameleon, not get caught, and to work out what this secret word is that's been chosen at random. So if you are not the chameleon, you are trying to work out who is the chameleon without giving away the secret word. Here's how you play. At the beginning of each round, the players receive a card that tells them if they are the chameleon or not. And if you're not a chameleon, your card directs you to which word you're focusing on in that round. That word is determined by 2 dice that are rolled that gives you the coordinates to that word that's on the topic card. So, for example, it might be, oh, I'm going to coordinates 2, 6, and I'm looking at the word where those two converge. Each topic card features 16 related words on topics like countries, books, food. And then now you go around. Each player must now say a word relating to the secret word. And then the chameleon can only make an educated guess based on the 16 words that are in front of them. So they have to think about what the word is from the entire list of words, but you know exactly what it is. So here's an example. Imagine that the category is musicals, and the secret word that everyone but the chameleon knows is Mean Girls. Player 1 says modern. They pass to the next player who says classic. The third player says movie, and the fourth player says pink. Based on those words, who's most likely to be the chameleon?
Oh, I get it now. So the chameleon has to pay attention whether people are saying to blend. Oh, gets to blend
Exactly,
in.
right. But the chameleon has no idea that the topic is Mean Girls. They're either listening or they're just they're trying to find something vague to say. But the thing is that everyone else is trying to find something vague to say too, vague enough to not let the chameleon know what the topic is, but specific enough to signal to the other players that they are not a chameleon. And so
Okay,
it's
that's
really
interesting.
challenging. So in this example, like if the category is Mean Girls and the words people chose were modern, classic, movie, and pink, I would say, okay, the person who said pink knows that it's Mean Girls. I wouldn't think that they're chameleon. Or maybe they deduced it, but imagine they didn't. It is a musical that's based on a movie, so movie makes sense. It is a more modern musical. Classic? Maybe not yet. So I would say, whoever said classic, you sound like you are the chameleon. There's a round of discussion, and then everyone points at who they think the chameleon is. Whoever gets the most votes has to reveal if they're the chameleon or not. If they are the chameleon, they still have a chance to identify what the word is. If they do, they still get a point and no one else scores. But if they don't, everyone else gets 2 points except for the chameleon. However, if no one identifies the chameleon and they're wrong in the voting, then the chameleon gets 2 points. And the first person to 5 points wins. Goes by super fast. Usually in about 3 rounds of this, you have finished the game. It will make you aware of which of your friends are great liars, because I was shocked at some people who could seem like they were so innocent, and the way that they spun it or negotiated, like, I'm not the chameleon because blah, 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 or the way they acted, I would never have guessed that they were the chameleon. This person was the chameleon twice. And I started just like to feel like they were the chameleon at all times because I couldn't tell if they were telling the truth or lying. My husband's strategy is very funny because he'll like go way over the top. His strategy is to be so ridiculous that like if he's the chameleon or not, no one can tell round to round. So different people try to find different ways of like not being suspicious, or maybe being so suspicious that they're no longer suspicious for the rest of the game. And it's a really fun social game to play.
You're the master of all things games. You have picked the best games for this episode. That sounds so fun. I want to play it right now.
I have to give a shout out to my sister-in-law and my niece and nephew, where they are huge gamers and they're always playing games. And they're the ones that brought this to a family game night. And we were like, this is really fun. And it's so simple and addictive to play. And honestly, what I find it to be terrifying when I'm the chameleon, because I'm such a bad liar, my mind is racing like, what can I say that will make them think that I'm not the chameleon? Like, it's such a challenge for me. But I love it when I'm not the chameleon and just trying to figure out who's lying. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, especially since the non-chameleons are still searching for a good word,
Right.
and that's a challenge itself. Yeah. You mentioned that your sister-in-law and niece and nephew. So it's appropriate for even younger folks
Oh
too.
yeah,
It's not
yeah.
too
Well, it
difficult.
also
Okay.
leads to funny things where they may not be aware of some of the topics, or like to them none of that makes sense, and so it'll sound like they're the chameleon because what they say makes no
Oh,
sense, but it's because they have no
cute.
idea like what the card's saying. I mean, that happened to me actually when we were playing the other day, and the card was athletes, and I'm like, uh-oh, I don't know who half these people are. You know, anyone can get a topic where they're just not that good at. naming things and it'll make it seem like you're the chameleon, but you're just ignorant. It's a lot of fun. It's, again, very simple. There's no setup. You just dive in and start bluffing, and it's a great family game night choice, I think.
That's a great pick. I love that.
And on the topic of generations, I have an honorable mention of a game called Mind the Gap. And this is another one that we played with family from my sister-in-law and her family, where basically in the board game, there are trivia questions either related to boomers, Gen X, millennial, or Gen Z. So movies from those eras, music from those eras, news items. The way you play, you're supposed to play, is that each team is meant to have a mixed group of generations. So like each team should have one boomer from your family, one Gen X person from your family, so that you can have a range of experts so that like you have a chance of answering questions. Like imagine if every person playing, if it was like a Gen Z team, they'd really struggle with the boomer questions, right? Because they might not know what the news items were in that day or like the random TV show it's going to ask you about. But it's so funny to see like people's eyes light up and be like, "Oh my goodness, I haven't thought about that show in a long time." And like the questions are so specific, you kind of had to be alive to get them right, or you have to have like an encyclopedic knowledge of the topic. And that was really fun because you mix up your family by age, and then people get to show off their knowledge or wildly disappoint you. At one point, I said in the game that my boomer was broken because they weren't getting any of the boomer questions right. But I thought that was a fun game because it really makes your family work together. All the different generations have to team up and work collaboratively together to win. So I thought that was a good way to get different folks from your family interacting.
And you learn something too. Other
Exactly.
people's memories, nostalgia.
And then just one general recommendation I have as we wrap up this topic, because it came up during my searches, but it's a two-player game and therefore I think not ideal for a family game night, but a new game that I didn't know about that is so cute and fun to play, and it's called Boop. This came out in 2022, and it's the cutest little board game that's extremely simple but abstract. So it's only two players, and the board game's kind of funny because you just turn the box over and they give you this like little quilted pad that you put on top of it, and then it looks like a bed. And so one person is playing as the orange cats, and one person is playing as the gray tabbies, and you have 8 kittens and 8 cats at your disposal. But you can only start with the kittens. And what you have to do is put 3 kittens in a row on the board, and then they can graduate into cats. So you put those kittens away, and then you can take 3 cats out of your pool, and now you can play with those cats. Well, it's not that simple because when you take turns placing your cats on the bed, if your opponent places a kitten next to your kitten, it gets booped, which means it gets bounced one space, either diagonally to the left, right, up, and down. It can even be booped right off the bed if they get to the edge. So you're trying to get 3 in a row, but even if you place your own cats, they get booped. So you're trying to like boop them into position and also try not to get booped out of your formation. And then once you get to the adult cat stage, whoever gets to 3 adult cats in a row wins. So games are really short, but they're very strategic. It's so much fun. It's cat-based. It's really cute. It's like the weirdest little cat version of tic-tac-toe that you could imagine. I really love playing it. And they have like all these different seasonal versions that are really cute. They have like a Halloween one with like you're playing cats that are coming out of pumpkins and ghost cats. And they also have a Christmas version as well. So you can pick your flavor of Boop. I've been obsessed with it. It's like such a fun game to pick up with your partner or whoever's around. Quick 2-player game of strategy, fun, and kitties.
Absolutely adorable. And the Christmas one is the best name, Boop the Halls. So adorable. I think this is a great collection of games, Matt. I think we have something for everyone on this list.
Yeah, I hope so. Let us know if you try out any of these games, you have fun with your friends and family, or if you played these before and had a lot of fun. We'd love to hear from you. Or if there are games that we missed that you think everyone should be aware of and try for their cozy game nights, let us know by leaving us a comment on Instagram, putting a post on our Facebook group, or even replying to our post on Blue Sky. That's there too. So let us know what games you love to play for your family game night. Gillian, it might be time to pack up the pieces and put away the games, but the scent of our cozy game night is going to linger with this week's candle. Tonight, I am burning New Board Game Smell by CMYK Games, and it's the same company that makes another game that went viral recently called Wavelength. Have you heard of this one, Gillian?
No.
So Wavelength is another great game. I'm just trying to squeeze in all the game recs that I can during one short episode, but it's like a mind reading game. So basically, like you have this wheel. For example, it might say Darth Vader, and the 2 directions you can take with the wheel are to the left. If it's all the way to the left, is he a wizard or is he not a wizard? The person who can control the dial is playing with their partner, and they have to secretly put it into a place where they think that they'll answer it. So, oh, I think this person's going to say that they're more like a wizard than not a wizard. And so they secretly put it to one position. It gets covered up. And then the other player has to move the dial to where they think it would go into this wavelength to guess where they would answer, if they're on the same wavelength or not. And then you get a certain number of points based on if where you put the dial matches where they thought you would put it.
We played this game at your husband's 40th birthday
That's
party,
right,
I
we did.
think.
You played it. Yeah.
And I completely misinterpreted the directions. I forgot how I misinterpreted it, but I misinterpreted it so badly. But yeah, once I understood it, it was fun.
We often actually don't play it even at all related to the point system or competitively. We just like busting it out and like discussing the answers because it is really interesting. The polar opposites that they present to you and where you might land on a topic and guessing what your friends would say too, because there's a meta thing where like, are you answering based on what you think the answer is or what you think they think the answer is?
Mm-hmm.
That's a great party game too.
Sparks a lot of fun conversation.
This candle that they also made called New Board Game Smell. Funnily enough, it's another collab with this candle company called Joya, which also made the Heretic Blueberry Pie candle. They're really popping up in the collab space. I keep secretly finding out that a lot of
Yeah.
these candles are Joya candles, and this is one of them. It's $39.99, which is apparently on sale from $49.99, which is the normal price. And it's a pretty small candle for that amount of money. And the notes on the scent are understandably cardboard, paper, and ink. And I love this smell. If you love paper smell, like it smells like a stationery store, I would say. It has that kind of scent to it, just paper and ink. And very simple, but very evocative. I wish it was a larger size for what you're getting, but it's a very even burn. It's clean. It has a good throw. It's filling up the space. It's a strong candle. It's not in like an overwhelming way, but I'm saying that it's like a strong choice. This is a wick up for me. It won the game.
I love your puns, and I also love how on brand you were with this candle for this topic. You always do a great job of that. I think this would be super cute too if you are buying someone a board game for the holidays to tack on this candle, because sometimes giving someone a board game can feel like, I don't want to say low effort, but it can feel like, oh yeah, I got this board game. But if you add a candle on top of it, now that's a really special pairing.
Absolutely. It's tough to gift games because it's hard to predict what people are going to do with it. Are they really going to play it on their own
Right.
afterwards? Like you have to really know if someone's a gamer or not.
You might say you're rolling the dice.
You are rolling the dice for sure. Good one, Gillian. Honestly, like this is a candle that was collaborated with by a company that makes board games. So they know what a new board game smells like. And this is it. And it's a really great scent.
Yeah, because sometimes you have those really topical scents and they have never, because there's some companies that just poop out scents.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this smells like New York. But it's just
Some random stuff that they put together. Yeah. They kept it simple, which is good. Well, we've shouted Uno, declared Monopoly, and now it's time to pack up the pieces and end our cozy game night. But before we say our goodbyes, we have 2 new cozy reviews to read from the back of the box, as well as a Patreon shout out. We have 2 new reviews on Apple Podcasts, which are so exciting. We love seeing 5-star reviews roll in. Thank you for leaving these reviews. The first is titled Cozy Inducing Any Time of the Year, and also great username, Iggledy. Iggledy?
cute.
So relaxing and thoughtfully put together. I love to hear the friendly banter between Gillian and Matt, and I don't normally ever like the conversation style podcasts unless it's an interview, but I love these. They always have a thoroughly thought out theme that gives me new ways to think about how coziness can fit into my life. That is a very thoughtful review, so thank you for leaving that review for us. And we have another one that Gillian's going to read.
And this comes from Goose Feathers, another amazing name. And their title or subject of the review is An Utter Delight. They write, so glad I discovered the podcast. I have a couple of other comfort podcasts I've re-listened to ad nauseum, and it's so nice to discover a fresh go-to. I listen to fall asleep and during my morning routine. And that makes me really happy because I often listen to podcasts when I'm going through my routine. So I feel like it's quite the honor.
It
to
is the
be
honor,
listened to
yeah. I
during
feel
that
very
time.
honored when people say that they listen to us. Those parts of the day are so for ourselves, and so to be part of that for you listeners is very special. I also love that we're defying the norm for Iggledy around being a conversation podcast that is listenable, and that really is something we aspire to because we know we know
Mhm.
how hard it can be to listen to those shows too. So we really try to be as light but also to the point as possible.
Absolutely. And thank you to Jenny for supporting our Patreon. You're the player one of our hearts this week.
Yes, thank you, Jenny, for supporting our show. Thank you for helping us get to the high score on Patreon. You can support our show too on Patreon and get benefits like joining our Cozy Book Club or get a mug design specifically and only reserved for our patrons. And so you can do that at patreon.com/allthingscozy and check out the offerings there. We would love to see you join our book club and get those special prizes for supporting the show, keeping us rich in new board game smell candles so that we can review them on the show. And also buying board games, which I did a lot of to get ready for this. We do take it seriously. And so, those funds go back into the show and really appreciate the folks who help us continue to produce this podcast. You can also
100%.
support our show by checking us out on social media at All Things Cozy Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and at All Things Cozy on Blue Sky. It may be game over on our game night topic, but we'll have a brand new round of fun for you in a couple more weeks. Until next time, stay cozy.